Three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Hello.
Hello.
Jeremiah,
Hello.
Alex, Phil, O-Line Committee. If you're new, welcome in. 15, 16 years in the NFL trenches between the three of us, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's not a lie. That is not a lie.
Click that subscribe button and the like button on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. You guys have almost gotten us to 30,000 subs.
So close.
Big month.
For the
month
Super
of
Bowl.
November.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah. Let's someone please start with
I'll start.
Chiefs, Mike.
I'll start with the golden
Throw the
horseshoe
first
on the
one.
truckers
you
out
are
of Kansas
such
City.
a hater.
I am, dude. I am a huge hater. I can't freaking stand it. I'm watching that game last night going, finally, this is it. The Chargers pull their heads out of their ass in the second half, looking like Harbaugh football up and down. They're beating the living shit out of Mahomes. Like every play, that dude's getting rocked. I was like, this is finally when it happens. It's going to happen. They go down, they score. My favorite position on the team does what? Kicks the ball, not in the landing zone.
Oh, God.
Let's just give them the ball at the 40, down by 1. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And they just go right down the field, convert a fourth down, right? Nothing crazy. They convert a fourth down, bleed the clock down. Andy Reid, I almost thought he was not going to call timeout. I was like, Andy, 3, Andy, 2. No, timeout with 1 second left. I was like, Andy, what are you doing? They go out there with their third string kicker, and he fucking doinks one, and it goes in.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Like, how many times this year have we seen one like the Vikings? It wasn't the Vikings yesterday? Boom, and the thing falls straight to the ground, right?
Yep.
Just straight down. No, this had the God went, or whoever they sold their soul to in the devil or whoever it might be. They saw the kick and it doinked, and they just gave the little, and it just went on in through the uprights, and they win another one. I can't believe it, dude. I love it. It's driving me bananas. Like, they're not that good. They're not that good.
Dude, it's kind of crazy. They're like they're near the bottom of the league, if not. I think
they are the 2021 Minnesota Vikings.
They are. Hey,
2022.
2022. They are the 2022 Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, but the difference is when they're in these close games, they've got Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones in close games at the end. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, are they lucky? Yes. Are they mid-pack in a bunch of different key categories? Yes. When you're in a close game, if you could just pick any coach, quarterback, and tight end to win the game, that's why they're winning these games.
Agreed.
If they can just keep a game close in the playoffs.
I mean, they're going to be fine. I mean, I agree with you guys. And dude, Mahomes is getting abused. Poor DJ Humphries. I played with DJ. They bring him in. He gets hurt in the first game that he's back. But at the same time, Mahomes is running around for his life again. And to me, that's going to be the biggest thing. And that's why I said the Lions, in my opinion, have jumped them. Because even when they lose their left tackle, they bring in Skipper, and it's like they don't miss a beat. And all of a sudden, you're watching. And yeah, sure, Patrick's going to get away with enough shit to win a game for now. But all of a sudden, you're going to go play some really good fucking teams, and it's not going to look like that. It's going to look completely different. And he's going to be running around, and they're not going to have all these answers. And dude, think about it. One of the things that they talked about before the game, and they were talking, I think it was Chris Sims was talking to him, and they were like, you know, what's the one thing that needs to get better? And he was like, dude, down the field presence. Like, he talks about how we haven't been able to get down the field and stretch out up the field. And you're like, dude, that's because you really don't have anybody down there doing anything. Like, at the same time, how much have they missed Tyreek since he's been gone? Like, he was such a go-getter for them. He created so much space and so many options. And right now they're just getting away with enough. I mean, dude, they have like 7 tight ends that are becoming a part of this offense. You're like, holy shit, do they have any more tight ends on the fucking roster? They're like, and this guy, Brian Bright. You're like, Jesus, where the fuck this guy come from? They're like, this is a 6th tight end. You're like, God damn. But to me, that's the thing that's going to slow them up in the playoffs. Like, I love the Pacheco coming back, and I love the way he fucking runs and the energy that he brings. Like, he's just super fucking excited. But at the same time, it's like, dude, if you can't continue to stretch the field, down the field, you're eventually everyone's just going to keep closing in because you're getting pressured every other fucking play. Like, he's just running around all over now.
He's going to get hurt.
I don't. Why the fuck would you say that,
dude? He hasn't taken hits like this his entire career.
No, he hasn't.
Like I mean, there's been times, but like on a week in, week out basis, that dude's pulling himself off the turf.
A lot. I agree.
Right? A lot. And that adds up over the course of a time here as we head into December and the games are going to get colder and things. I mean, that's going to be some down the stretch. I mean, they bring in Humphreys, right? The dude hasn't played in a year, rips his hamstring like 25 plays in. You're like, oh, well.
And I love DJ.
That's
and he would have been.
unfortunate.
It'd have been great if he worked out, but it's now all of a sudden you're back to where you were before with Wanya Morris, and you're
But
like.
that's the thing is like, when people don't understand when you bring a guy in like that and you bench a guy,
It's
that
huge.
dude's confidence goes in the toilet.
Oh,
right
God.
in the toilet.
They had
And
to go
then-
find a guy that hasn't played in 2 years to replace you, and then they were like 1 week in, they were like, "It's good enough. Fuck it, put him out there."
Put him out there,
And then he gets hurt.
And then when
And
they
then
run
they're
back
like,
out there, like, "Come on,
"Hey,
bud,
bud,
you're back, man. You're
We're
back." You're
back. Who loves you? Did
I'm
you
not
did you see
back.
him when he was walking out there? Everybody was like, "You got this. You got this.
You're good. You're good.
You know they were probably shitting their
They were
pants
like,
like,
"Damn it!"
God, he's coming back out here. Fuck, Dooney was like, "Damn it." I mean,
But dude,
it's
the other point though from yesterday. So with the Bills losing to the Rams, which we'll get into that game.
oh, we're
too.
definitely getting to that
and
fucking
the
game.
Chiefs winning that game. The Chiefs now, so they win the division, and they basically, I know mathematically it's not clinched, but they're 2 games up for home field advantage
Yeah.
throughout the AFC playoffs.
Dude,
They're
and
sitting
that's
12-1, and the Bills and the Steelers are both 10-3.
That's why your fucking lovely Bills really screwed the pooch, didn't they?
Yeah,
they're,
they did.
they're the best team in the AFC.
They are. They are the best team. Who's better than them in the AFC?
Clearly, right now, the Chiefs. He just said they have a 2-game lead over them.
That doesn't mean they're the best team. They're the luckiest team in the NFL.
Okay, Jay, what are you most
I don't know how else
impressed
to
by?
tell you that they're good. But
What
I
are
tell
you most
their
impressed by
record.
yesterday? The Chiefs win or the Bills loss?
The Bills
were you-
loss. Much more impressed with the Bills loss. Josh Allen,
You're an
5
idiot.
different 6 touchdowns. What? 3 running, 3 passing.
Don't get me wrong, that was
What a
awesome.
loss.
Yeah, that was great. Doesn't count for anything, but no,
Hey.
I mean, and he did what 3 tush pushes, but at the same
Tomorrow,
time-
you line up and you're a playoff team, and you got to play either the Chiefs or the Bills tomorrow. Who would you rather play?
question is, where is that
Who would?
game?
No.
Where
It's
is
at
it?
Arrowhead.
It's at Arrowhead,
I don't want to go to Arrowhead.
or it's
bro.
okay. It's at Arrowhead, or it's at Orchard Park. Which one do you want to walk into?
It's going to be at Arrowhead for the record.
No, I'm saying like you're not.
He
the
makes
Chiefs,
a
you're
great
not the
point.
Bills. You're not the Chiefs. You're not the Bills, right? You're
Listen,
You're the
after
Ravens.
last night,
You're the Ravens or whatever, and you need to go and say, "Hey, tomorrow we are walking into Orchard Park, or we're walking into Arrowhead. Which one would you rather walk into?"
I mean, honestly, I'd rather go into Orchard Park.
Oh, you're so
I'm sorry. Because the chances that he's going to get the ball with 2 minutes left in the game, and I'm going to look at everybody and go, "This is us. This is how it fucking ends," right? I'm going to take my chances in Orchard Park. Dude, did you see Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp? They looked like they were the most 2 unguardable fucking people the entire day. The entire day. I mean, dude, they gave up how many points? All of a sudden, if I'm looking at that, I'm like, guess who's throwing the ball? Here we go, boys.
I mean, what team has Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp though? I mean, we picked the
there's
Rams.
a lot of dynamics
They've been
going
hurt.
on.
I mean, we can pivot here to the Rams. They've been hurt all year, but if you
I agree.
way
Now they're
back,
getting healthy.
Way back when beforehand, we had them as Super Bowl contenders.
Yep.
They're very sneaky.
And
They're
this
very
is
sneaky
why
right
they
now.
could
Stafford
still
is
be.
back, dude.
Dude,
Stafford
he's-
is back.
Did you
and
see those fucking
slinging
darts?
that thing.
Incredible, dude. Some of them had flames on them. And Puka Nacua, did you see that toe tapper on the sideline, dude? I was driving, and
How
I was
was
like,
that dude a
what
fifth
the
rounder?
fuck was that?
How did he go in the 5th
Unbelievable.
round?
He's so tough too. I love the fact that he catches everything and just fucking bounces off of everybody and still keeps going. He's like the George Kittle of the outside. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
Always having fun.
The Rams have some like they beat the Vikings at home. The Bills now. People kind of the Rams. They're injured.
They're getting healthy, dude, and you better watch out because I mean, don't get me wrong.
Division is very gettable. They're only a game back of Seattle.
yeah,
defensively-
freaking playoff game.
If Seattle didn't have that skid in the middle of the year, I mean, they'd be toast. Little too late. But I mean, Seattle's put 4 in a row together here, going into the stretch into December here. But
Aren't
the
all
Rams,
3 of them in it?
Well, the Cardinals have kind of sputtered down the stretch here. They
Go
lost,
figure.
They lost to the Vikings.
Call of Duty 6 came out.
It's true. On sale at Walmart, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not. 2 interceptions in the first quarter. Yeah.
Can we
you're
go
good.
back real quick? Put a bow on Chiefs Bills because
Do it.
I
Wait,
thought,
you mean Chiefs Chargers?
no, like the Chiefs and the Bills debate that
Top
we're kind of having
AFC.
here. Like,
I didn't know this
who
was a
would you-
debate. Go ahead.
You're such a dick.
Your team lost. What are we debating?
I have 2 main tug of war thoughts after watching the Bills lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, holy shit, Josh Allen. He's the first. Did I see he's the first quarterback since, was it like Otto Graham with Boone's Cleveland Browns back in like the 50s to run for 3 touchdowns and throw for 3 touchdowns in the same game?
The most fantasy football quarterback points ever.
Yeah.
If you had Josh Allen this week, congratulations. You
won. You won everything.
So there was the, oh my God, like, why would you ever bet against that absolute force of a football player in any conditions? He's ready to take over his mantle, right? But then the other part of me, as surgically precise as the Chiefs are late in games, from coaching tactics to Mahomes to Kelsey improvising and finding a spot, like they don't take a dumb timeout. The Bills are driving in a game in which there's 80 total points being scored, and they saved the 3 timeouts. It's great. It's awesome. You need to score twice. And they get down to the doorstep of the end zone with 1 minute to go. And again, you need to score twice, keep the 3 timeouts, kick the ball deep, and make a stop, which is all maybe unlikely. But they run a sneak, burn the timeout. Sean McDermott burns the timeout. And now it's okay. We got it. And Tom Brady, correctly, by the way, Tom Brady was actually great down the stretch in that game. And he's saying they just screwed the game. Like, calling that timeout basically ended the game. That's the type of little mistake that they make every time they face the Chiefs in the playoffs. They'll burn a dumb timeout, or they'll leave a little too much time on the clock or whatever it is. So I came away thinking also, Sean McDermott is a top 5 coach in the league, but still like is prone to that little mistake strategically that's going to cost the Bills at Arrowhead last weekend in January, dude. Like,
easy. Listen. When they do meet, it's going to be an incredible game. But
wait.
I know it is. It's going to be incredible. But you're right. You think about Andy Reid and how long he's been a head coach and how much he's done and how many games he's played in. He knows all the answers. He knows when to burn timeouts. He knows when he's chilling. I love when at one point I think Patrick threw it to like the 4th string tight end and he dropped it, and Andy Reid's face looked like he was like, we're never throwing it to you again. Like, I was like, God, he's still got it, man. Like, you know, he's been through so much that at certain points people are like, what do we do? And he's like, this is what we're doing. Boom. And that's what's so cool about those coaches. Like, in a chaotic moment, you have so many people telling you what to do as a coach. Like, you have this guy like, burn the timeout. You have this guy like, no, don't. And like, you can just see he's always composed. And those are the old school guys that are like, that been here, I don't fucking care. We're going to let this tick down to here. Like Jay said, I'm over here like, Andy. He's like, cheeseburgers. Timeout. Like, he just doesn't get right. Like,
2 cheeseburger timeout.
Timeout. Like, he just doesn't give a fuck. And that's why I can't bet against them ever. I just know that he is going to use everything you do against you. It's going to hurt you more than it hurts them always. And that's why he's one of the best. And Patrick Mahomes too, like, he could fucking be perpendicular to the ground and still make the most perfect throw. Like, he's still got it. And yes, I agree with you, Jay. He's taking a lot of hits. And that's why I'm putting the Lions above them, because I'm like, that quarterback's taking way less hits and they're still producing way more than Kansas City is.
It'll be interesting down the stretch. I'll be very curious to see how they finish in December. The Broncos are hot. They got to play the Broncos again.
Steelers.
They got to play the Steelers.
I can't wait for that game.
I think they go 500 in December.
That leaves the door open.
But
the Bills get the Lions this upcoming week.
No, I mean, again, the Bills dropping this one. The Bills dropping this one to the Rams.
Let's say the Bills lose to the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
If the Steelers beat the Chiefs,
they'll go to
win
the 2
out,
seed.
The Chiefs could actually. The Steelers might be in play for the 1 seed because they, if you flip that game and beat the Chiefs
and they're only
Christmas.
There's a lot to play for in December.
So many.
Dude, there's so many close scenarios right now, and that's why December is going to be so hot. And you have these teams, especially like in the North, that are all going to play each other again. And I think the AFC North has to play each other again too. Like, everything is just. And there's going to be teams that are like, you know what, we're not going anywhere. Let's go fucking ruin these guys' career. Like, it's just, it's a shitty situation to be in. I've been there. But you're like, you know what? We're going to ruin their fucking year. Let's do it. And then we came up short. That's why they're going to the playoffs and we're not.
We tried real hard.
We tried, Coach. It failed.
All right, Boone, new mic.
Oh, I got it. All right, here we go. If I didn't love this guy before, I fucking love him so much more now. Dan Campbell, right? Here's when I knew it was going sideways. They called a timeout on 4th down. And then they brought the offense back out there. And the announcer, I think it was Herb Street, was like, well, they must be trying to jump him off sides. I go, No, they're going to run the fucking play, moron, because you can't call 2 timeouts in a row. And so they kept going like, wow, this is really ballsy. And I'm like, Brian, I'm trying to get them to jump off sides. And I was like, am I the only guy that knows they're actually going to run a fucking play right now? But the best part was this was the only 4th down that had come after a failed 4th down. So I think that's why they were like trying to be like, well, there's no way they're going to go for it after the last attempt. And it was like, do you not know how big this guy's dick is?
Yeah.
It's like the size of the fucking city, dude. It is huge. And the whole time, I love when they pan to him because he's always like,
he's got that drink. He's got the drinker's nose that most guys get when they're 65.
He's got these big traps and shoulders. And he's always like, God, I fucking love him, dude. I love it. And I love the fact that game was back and forth. It was what it was. But, man, the Lions, they're taking total control of the NFC.
I think the stat is the Lions were 5 for 7 on 4th downs when playing the Packers this year. Like, that is just so demoralizing.
So bad.
As a Packers defense. But that was, I mean, you talk about fireworks. There's a chance those guys meet in the playoffs again. I mean, Jordan Love and what they're doing with CTE number 8 running back.
Josh Jacobs.
Thank you.
Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, so fun.
What they're doing with Josh Jacobs and the creativity in the run game and all the different things, adding, Chris Brooks in the backfield, who's a running back, but also kind of an like Tucker Kraft getting lippy with all the other Lions defenders. I mean, there's just, it's clash of the Titans in the NFC North right now. But yeah, the Lions, I mean, Tigers don't change their stripes, right? All the old adages, whatever you want to use. Dan Campbell is always going to risk it for the business.
I don't care.
And
the best part about that win,
and also Herb Street go back to college.
Dude,
go back to college.
Dude, they went for it on like the 30-yard line, and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck are we? And then they missed it, and I was like, holy shit! And they just showed him. He's like, here we go. I'm like, man,
it stings a little bit.
He's getting pissed. Like, everybody was over there like, he's gonna fucking kill us.
The post game video, he's given the speech and he's fucking awesome. And he goes, man, this doesn't just happen. This is what we do. And he looks over, he goes, Skip. Then they pan over and Dan Skipper is hugging the trash can, just hurling his guts out, puts a hand up.
Do you, Skip?
You just keep doing you keep throwing up whatever you're doing over there, man.
Oh my God! You have to love. Tell me you wouldn't want to fucking play for a guy like that. 100%. Like just inject nitro into your blood, fucking gone every day, having a blast. I would. I fear anybody that has to play them. But the question is going to be: don't the Vikings have to finish the season with them?
Yes,
I'm hoping that game matters. I really do.
It could.
If the Bills beat the Lions this upcoming week, game will matter a lot. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I hope it matters because if not, I could see that being like everyone sits everyone because we might meet in the playoffs and just being an absolutely
crappy week fucking 24.
Just a pillow fest. And I hate that because half of my fantasy team is both Vikings and Lions. So that would be really bad for me.
I'm going to need this.
I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Montgomery, Sam Darnold, Jordan Addison. So that would be a tough one for me if all the boys sat.
The last week of the season, because you're pretty new to fantasy football, aren't you?
Well,
your league should not be playing the last week of the season.
We were supposed to start playoffs this week, so that didn't happen. Then everyone rose a fit because there was like a bunch of people on bye. And so they pushed it back a week, and I was like, whoever makes the championship here is going to be upset.
But everyone's on bye week 18. That's the problem. Oh, that's wild.
So we will see.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. If I may, with the next mic.
Oh, God. Here we go,
baby.
Hit the Gallo horn and go. Hit the
Gallo
horn and go.
Do it.
Do it. There
I'll even give you a couple more here.
Oh, the Kirky one.
Ooh. That's a little trolling.
I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Yeah. You know who the next mic is? It's me. Ding, self-suck. Because yesterday was the greatest day of my life.
I'll bet. I will bet.
And all due respect to my amazing wedding day. But yesterday was the culmination of a 6-year debate in Minnesota, where those of us on the right side of history and sanity saying, why are you, and by the way, NFL, take note, Cowboys already made the mistake. Don't pay a mid-tier starting quarterback elite money to hold your franchise hostage. The Falcons did, and they found out 6 months later it was a mistake. They actually might have found out 6 weeks later because they drafted Michael Penix 6 weeks after. And yesterday you had, if you're the Vikings and you just swapped Kirk Cousins for Sam Darnold, no other moves, that is like GM of the year material right there. So wait, I swap this quarterback for that quarterback, save 75% of the cap money, and I get the much better quarterback who's just throwing bombs down the field using his athletic ability. And then with the leftover cap savings, I get Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, Stephon Gilmore, injured yesterday, Shaq Griffin. I get Aaron Jones as a starting running back.
I extend Justin Jefferson.
I mean, it is legitimate GM of the year stuff by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. And it was another shining example of Kirk Cousins being a fraudulent, high-end, air quotes, starting quarterback.
You know what's
yesterday
even crazier?
Was a celebration at US Bank Stadium.
It was, and it was crazy because with I don't know, end of the third quarter, it was still 13-14, and it was like, man, I don't know how this is going to shake out. And then all of a sudden, classic Kirk, just INT. Then they fumble, INT. You're like, dude, these guys can't just get out of their own fucking way. And at the same time, Sam Darnold looking like a fucking monster moving around. By the way, what is it up to now? 40 a year? We thinking 40?
Dude, every week
Minimum.
it goes up.
I'm thinking 40, boys.
Every week. Dude, someone's going to overpay and pay him 50.
You know who's going to overpay him?
The market's going to be 40. And someone's going to be like, we need a starting
quarterback. It's going to be the Jets
right now.
It's going to be the Jets. I'm telling you right now.
He can't go back.
No, listen.
They can't. They'd be the laughing stock of the NFL.
It's going to be the Jets. No. It can't get any worse. It can't fucking get any worse.
They drafted him at 3.
I know.
You can't draft a kid at 3, let him walk, and then come back and pay him $60 million.
Yeah,
you know what? This is a great plan. Draft a quarterback and then let him go to someone else's quarterback rehabilitation program.
Bring him back
up.
Remember the facility? We saved your old apartment. We're good, man. Come on back, dude.
Yeah, right. Sam Darnold would be like, "Oh, the price to play there, $70." Right? Yeah. There's an upped fee for me to go back to New York.
They would pay it at this point. Did you see the game yesterday, dude? They lost again.
But I mean, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault yesterday.
Yeah,
didn't
score enough points.
It never has been.
Yeah.
It never is his fault.
Never his fault.
But yeah, I mean, back to the Vikings though. I love that they're finally getting some national attention. Right, everyone has now moved them out of the frauds into the contenders, like we did a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but this was the game that everyone had circled the moment Kirk Cousins left.
Revenge
right,
game.
This was the game that everyone goes, we'll see. Right, we'll see where this is sitting first week in December when old Kirky boy comes back to US Bank, and they just shoved his dick in the dirt.
Dude, so bad.
So bad. I mean, even Murphy at the end of the game was trying so hard not to trash him on the post-game thing. Right? He was like, Kirk's a great quarterback, great one, but he loves throwing the ball to the DBs, right? It was like the compliment circle, right? He's like, great quarterback in the NFL, but we knew he was going to throw a few up there for us. He's been a great quarterback, and he was great here, but we knew he didn't have great ball security in the pocket, right? It was just like this roundabout thing. But to your point, Mac, this is what people were screaming for 2 years ago because Kirk had the Vikings balls in a vice.
Yeah.
And every year he knew it because of fear. And fear drives so much in the NFL from if we let this guy walk, right, the grass isn't always greener. We have one in the hand, right? What's the fear of this, that, and the other thing? And so every year Kirk could just be like, oh, you guys need some cap room? Okay, I'll take an extension and just turn and twist, right? Like over and over and over again. And hats off to the Vikings of finally saying enough is enough, time to move on. And it's looking the part because Kirk, man, he can't move. That dude is a statue back there.
And they're already starting to talk about Penix more. And all of a sudden it's become, well, here's the problem. When you haven't thrown a touchdown in a month and people are paying you a fucking king's ransom, they're like, hey, listen, the job is to throw it to our guys, not those guys. Okay, dickhead. What are you not understanding? The problem is, and I think somebody came out today and was like, if Penix was good, he'd be out there.
It was Gruden. It was Gruden.
That's who it was. You know that's a lie because you know what that'll do to that room and what it'll do to that team going forward. And they've handcuffed themselves to this problem. Everybody said this. The problem is when he didn't get his revenge on his own team and it ended up costing his team, now everyone's like, this is why we let him go. This is exactly why. Because at this time in the season, every year, shit gets bonkers and bananas and haywire. And he's just not the guy to come out there and be like, he's not the Mahomes kind of guy where he's going to come out there and just be chill. It's like, nope, this isn't it. And like Jay said, he can't move, dude. And they're looking at Penix like, hey, one more. Just one more.
I mean, what is it? He has 7 interceptions in the last 5 games or last 2 games.
It's 9 interceptions since his last touchdown pass a month ago. Darnold's
one more
the flip,
game.
by the
One
way.
more.
Darnold is like a month without interceptions. But when you pay I would say if you're paying a quarterback or any player, but no other player in the league makes 40 plus million except for quarterbacks. When you're paying someone that big of a percentage of your cap, let alone 50 or 60, you are paying them to be the solution to the things that go wrong around it.
Right.
Like if you're a Darnold and you make $10 million, awesome, man. This is all like kind of spread across the board in terms of pecking order. But if I'm gonna carve out space for you, one of 53, to make $40 or $45 million, when shit starts to go haywire and sideways and the defense isn't getting much of a pass rush and the offensive line is allowing some pressures, I need you to be the solution. I'm paying for you to be the solution. And he has never been the solution in a decade as an NFL. He's been a good NFL starter.
He's been good.
But
he's been great, but he's just not, like you said, Mac. You think about it. The whole year, what's the one thing we've heard about this team? They don't get sacks. And you're like, yeah, because they don't have any fucking money. They're paying this quarterback a ton of money. And if you want sacks, you have to pay those guys a ton of money too. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, by the way, we spent 50% of the cap on 3 guys. Good luck getting the rest of the team going. Like, you just can't do that. It's the same thing, Mac. Like the minute that they signed him, I think everybody was kind of like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot for a guy coming off an Achilles, a guy that's never really been past the first round of the playoffs. That's a lot of fucking money. What are you doing? Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be great. Look at all these playmakers. But it's like, that's great. But if they can't catch the ball because the other team takes it first, like, what good are they?
They're a game back, dude. They're a game
Tampa
back.
jumped
They won a game in a
They
month.
completely just got fucking flipped by Tampa, and everyone's like, well, they might have a chance. And it's like, dude, have you seen Tampa playing lately? I fear those guys when they come out there because when they're out there, they don't know any fucking different. They start so fast every week, which is so fun to watch. They do stall out. But that's been the thing. Like, they're trying to chase Atlanta, and now they've jumped Atlanta, and Atlanta's in a shitty situation where they're going to have to start looking and going, are we going to try and save this season by pulling this motherfucker? Are we going to really try and jump into the playoffs by putting Penix in and see what happens? Are we really going to do
ride
this?
it off the cliff? If you're Atlanta, do you just ride it off the cliff and then hit the reset button?
Hey, I think so.
March?
I think you just pedal down and say, hey, we made our bed, time to lay in it. Right?
We talked about this. You have to.
We'll deal with it in March. We'll figure it out because the only reason I say that is because the worse that Kirk Cousins plays, the more that you have ammunition to make the move to Penix. Right? You make the move to Penix right now, there's question marks everywhere. Kirk finishes the year the same way he's playing right now. No one questions you in March when you move on from him, right? Or you say, hey, we're benching him for Penix or whatever. Hey, open competition starting into OTAs or whatever it is. It gets wonky if you bench him right now. But if you let him drive the thing off the cliff and at the end you point and say, it was him. It wasn't me. We gave him every opportunity to do whatever he needed. You save face a little bit as a front office and you just say, hey, reset, start again next year. Because, I mean, a lot of that team's young. Right, it's not like they're moving on. It's not like they feel like they have all the right pieces to make a Super Bowl run right now. They thought Kirk might bring them into that. Obviously, they didn't. So what's the harm in letting Kirk drive him to wherever it goes? The scariest thing for them in doing that is that Kirk turns it on here in the last 4 weeks. Now, that's the scary thing is like, what if vintage Kirk has one of his Decembers where he flips the script and he finishes the year with 10 touchdowns and 1 interception and they finish a game behind
the playoffs.
They finish a game behind Tampa still, but they were right there, whatever it might be. That's the only fear that you have of riding this thing out with Kirk. But after watching him the last month, I don't know if he still has that in him.
You know, I'll give you one more just in terms of the pie chart of blame here because the Falcons don't get off the hook. You bring a quarterback in, and ideally you would, especially a 36-year-old, you would sit down and say, okay, what are you good at? What are you comfortable doing? And Kirk Cousins has been play action quarterback his entire career. He's great under center, off play action, use that deception, and then, find your plays in the intermediate. According to Pro Football Focus this year, so 43 qualified quarterbacks, only Drew Lock has run a lower percentage of play action passes. So they're literally sending him out there to just drop back with
But you got to think too, the situations that they're in. A lot of the games that normally when you're with the Vikings, when he was here, it was like, hey, we're going to hand it to Dalvin, and so all of a sudden that was like, holy shit.
But that's the issue.
They got Bijan.
They have
Robinson.
Bijan.
No,
Robinson.
they do. But then all of a
Tyler
sudden,
Algier.
you're losing to Tampa, and it's like, hey, we can't do that anymore. We have to put you back there. You're going to have to stand back there and just sling this motherfucker. And it's like, and that's where we're going to start to get a little dicey after a while. We're going to start checking it down on fourth down, and everyone's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, you're right. When he can do a naked or a rollout or a sprint, shit's great because everybody's on the move. He's on the move. He gets to a spot. He delivers. But all of a sudden now you're not winning games so easily, and you're like, hey, I got to sit back here a little bit more. Pressure's coming from everywhere. I mean, dude, how many fucking times have I seen McGarry kind of get knocked the fuck around, and you're like, Kirk, get rid of the ball, right? Instantly, it's like, that's not really your world, though. You're right. You're used to doing one of these loopy loops, and all of a sudden shit just opens, and you're like, oh, this guy right here. Now it's like you're feeling pressure from everywhere. I mean, dude, it's been a rough year.
But even if you just compare and contrast yesterday, right? The Vikings O-line didn't play great yesterday, right?
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. But what was the difference? Sam could move.
Right.
Sam could move off the spot and create and be athletic and run through kind of a falling arm tackle and deliver down the field versus Atlanta's O-line didn't play great either, but they had how many sacks? Right? Yeah. I mean, they could get him on the ground because he's kind of looking almost Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning towards the end of his career where he kind of just turtles. Right? Like all of a sudden here comes the pressure instead of like, oh, it's just control the ball, right? Don't lose the football. When you get to that point in your career, bad things happen because then there's blood in the water. Defensive coordinators smell it all the live long through. You're throwing interceptions. The blitz rate for the Atlanta Falcons in December is going to be astronomical. I mean, absolutely every week, every defense is just going to walk in and be like, here we go, and just have blitz after blitz after blitz to try and get to Kirk because if you get him off his spot right now, he has no power on the ball. Yeah. If he can't plant his feet and turn, the ball just flutters in the air.
But, I mean, if you're the Vikings –
on the other side,
it was
by the way, hey,
risky to move on.
Now that I think about it, because you just asked, is there a better duo than Puka and Cooper? I would say Jordan Addison right now and JJ are starting to become that little bit of relief down the field, right? Like even the ball that was tipped, his arm gets hit, the ball sputtering in the air. Jordan Addison's like, I got this. Come here. I'll come to me. All of a sudden you see a DB tripping over his feet. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, oh my God. But Jay, you're right too. The fact that he can get off his spot, like I was thinking about one of the other touchdowns when he's climbing the pocket, and he's kind of getting hit, and he delivers this fucking beautiful ball downfield, and you're like, dude, his arm strength is so incredible. His feet don't have to be set. He doesn't have to be perfect. He's
what, 10 years younger than Kirk?
Easily.
26, 27,
easily.
right?
Dude, but his arm talent's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the difference between a 26-year-old in the prime of his life athletically and a guy that's 36. I mean, I'm 33 and I still grunt when I get off the toilet, right? Like we're old and there's a lot of wear and tear on your body at that age. It's not a secret, right?
Yeah.
The dude's arm, and it wasn't like Kirk had a rocket to start with either, right? Like he had a good arm.
He's a 4th-round pick,
but it wasn't like, oh, look at like the Josh Allens, the Matt Staffords, those guys. Like he has to have good fundamentals, and I would hate to be an Atlanta Falcons beat writer right now. Yeah. Right. And Mackey, you lived this life for as long as you can because you now have to plant a flag. Right. Are you behind Kirk or are you not? Right. This happens.
Let me tell you, I covered
wait for the Crusaders.
As a beat writer. I covered from like 06 through like 2010 Vikings beat, like in the locker room. And do you guys remember this would have been the 2009 season, right when Brett Favre showed up? And Favre was like still kind of rusty. He eventually, that game against you guys, Boone, San Francisco, like Greg Lewis. I know, I'm sorry. But there was a report from, I think, Adam Schefter at the time that there was a schism in the Vikings locker room because some people were like, yeah, the old gunslinger Favre, but some others were like, we got the 2nd-round pick from a year ago, Tavares Jackson, who can move and has a huge arm. And like that is a thing.
It is
where there's a faction of the 23-year-olds who want to roll with Michael Penix, but then there's some veterans who are like, I ain't going to deal with a rookie trying to figure out how to spit a play out in the huddle, I got kids to feed and a family, and at least I know Kirk can organize things. But
right. Dude,
yeah,
it's real. And guess what? When you draft somebody fucking 8th overall, it's a real schism where people are like, hey, we haven't had a touchdown in fucking 4 weeks. This kid got drafted 8th overall. He could probably run it in if we needed him to. Could we just fucking try something new?
Yeah.
Could we just?
It will.
That's where the division's coming.
It will start a divide.
And then all of a sudden, people are going to start asking the coaches questions like, hey, why isn't he not out?
All it takes is one rogue interview.
Oh, that's my next mic. Don't worry.
Standing at the locker.
Oh, I got
all it takes is one rogue interview.
Okay, next mic.
Next mic. And since we're talking about rogue interviews, I don't know who paid for the plane, but I fucking love you. Because when Malik Neighbors was asked about did you pay for the plane to fly over, that said, what did it say, Mr. Mara, please fix this dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire? Yeah.
He stopped, paused, and looked and was like, man, I ain't paid for that motherfucking plane. Walked away. Like, I was like, did you pay for the plane? Was it you? Like, he thought about it for a minute. Like, should I tell him it was me? And then he was like,
a strong reaction for someone who didn't pay for the plane.
This team is cursed, Jay. I'm sorry. They're your babies. You have to let everybody go now. They could have won that game. They could have won the fucking game. For the 17th week in a row, a field goal is blocked to lose the fucking game. Dude, they were about to win a game with Drew Lock. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? This guy can actually win a game. No, couldn't block the one big beefy motherfucker that jumped over everybody. How does a D lineman that big jump over everybody and still block a fucking ball?
So I'm going to go bigger picture on this for you, Booney.
What are you doing, dude?
You are talking in specifics about one of the 2 games that 5 people saw in America yesterday. Saints played the Giants, and the Jaguars played. It
was as bad as you thought
in a pillow fight as well.
Oh yeah.
God bless football, man. I mean, these games are being played in front of sold-out stadiums, and we sent broadcast crews for.
I had to go back and watch some of that game because the only thing that they showed on the red zone was the fact that Tracy scored and then that they blocked a field goal, and I was like,
dude, that's the thing. Scott Hansen refuses to put the Giants on red zone.
I don't blame him. I do not blame you, Scott. No. They are so bad, and he's even boycotted.
He hits it a few times. He's like, you guys aren't missing anything up there in the Meadowlands. They just punt it again. Like he just like refers to it. He doesn't actually come back. There was a period though
where every game was at halftime except for Jaguars Titans, and it's like, oh God.
So Mac Jones, oh my God, don't make me have to. Will Levis got. By the way, did you see Will Levis get fucking murdered? And all of a sudden, the left tackle was like, "Wait, was that my guy?" J.C. Latham's like, "Was that me? Was that me? Oh shit!" I was like, "Please turn this off. I cannot watch this." It was bad, but yeah, dude. I mean, your Giants are. It doesn't get better. I know, man.
Spot to be.
And I'm questioning whether the fans are eventually just going to get enough to the owner. Like the minute you pay for a plane to fly over the stadium, I feel like the owner's hands are kind of cuffed. And he's like, do I want to make money? Do I want to lose money?
So what's the number one fix? If you're the owner of the Giants right now, what is like your first 100 days in office, right? Season ends, right? At this point, the season is what it is. Season ends week 18. What is your first executive order? As the owner of the Giants.
What's the plan at quarterback?
We need to find a quarterback now.
Okay, but that's not the plan. Because does that mean that you're rolling with Joe Sheen and Daboll? Because there's no good in letting them go find a quarterback and then hiring someone else.
Am I the owner?
You are the owner.
I want to know who they think.
What is number one priority list on you? And you're saying, okay, this is the first thing I have to do to right this ship for 2025.
I'm calling those 2 in and I'm saying, who's your number one quarterback on your mind right now? And I want to know what you're thinking. And I want to know why. And if you say something silly, I'm going to be like, you're fired. You're out. Get the fuck out right now. I can't do this anymore. You let Saquon walk. We have nothing at quarterback. We've had nothing. And yes, I know we were handcuffed in free agency that year because I even remember when I was like, I can't believe they're paying him. But then I was like, they have no other choice. There's nothing else to do. But even then it's like, guys, there's other players we can find around him to make him better. Right.
Well, that's what they did with Malik Neighbors. That's why you draft Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, but once again, we're back to this whole problem of like, you should have addressed things up front first. You should have went other places. And now all of a sudden we have a receiver who's gone rogue and he's super pissed and may have paid for a plane to tell you to fire the coach. I mean, do you want to talk about the ballsiest thing a player's ever done?
They've got O-linemen going down. John Runyon got hurt yesterday. John Michael got hurt yesterday. Illuminor's been hurt. Evan Neal's playing right tackle when he got drafted to play left tackle. Andrew Thomas is hurt. I mean, there's a lot going on up there that is injury related. And so that's where it's one thing if I'm the owner, I I don't know if starting over with a new coaching staff and everything is the right move. I really don't. I think that if they meet that meeting, like you said, Boone, and they have it, and they say, we're getting Shedeur Sanders, then you kind of let them roll with it and be like, all right, you do whatever you have to do to draft Shedeur Sanders.
But
right?
Don't you then, if you do that, this is
you're
going to
be fighting it out with a lot of teams.
You don't want to be the Bears too, where, okay, so we have a plan to get our quarterback, but we're only really sure about this head coach for like a year. And if it doesn't go well right away, now we're starting over at head coach going into year 2. If you commit to draft a quarterback, if you're the Giants, I feel like you're committing to Brian Daboll for 3 more years.
And I would commit to Brian Daboll.
I have nothing against Daboll. I love Daboll.
Look what he did with Josh Allen, right? And I know that seems like ages ago because it was 2018, right? I was there. I was in that building when Josh was a rookie. Daboll is a quarterback whisperer with young quarterbacks. Like the way that I watched him coach Josh and develop Josh and do all those things with Josh, he never really got a chance to do that with Daniel because Daniel was kind of already the guy, right? You kind of handed to him. They probably told Daboll, like, hey, this guy's got 1 more year and then we're going to move on. And then they go coach of the year and win a playoff game and it kind of started all over. Mm-hmm. I'm good with committing to Brian Daboll with a rookie quarterback for 4 years. I am. And I think another reason, too, is you're not going to have to extend Brian with a huge contract, right? You can keep him around. You probably have to say, hey, you've got to make some major changes to the staff, right? That's probably, hey, you've got to make big-time changes to the staff defensively, right? You lost Wink Martindale last year. Is this our guy? Is not. But I'm good with committing to Brian Daboll and saying you have full reign to go get your quarterback, whether it's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whoever it is in the draft.
Sam Darnold.
Right. Sam Darnold.
That's kind of where my mind was going.
You pick me who your quarterback is, and we'll roll with it. And I think you give him at least 2 more years.
Listen,
really do.
My biggest thing is Sam Darnold because I don't know that Shedeur wants to go there. I mean,
that's the other problem.
Deion's already come out and said
that's a whole nother can of worms when you dive into the Sanders saga of what that's going to look like going into this draft with Deion and Hunter, and it's going to be nuts.
He already gave the nod to Vegas. Like he was like, I want my boys to play here.
Not how this works.
I know, but remember, listen, if there was any certain family that could pull it off like the Mannings, I'm sure it would be Prime. That's why I said you better sit down and be like, tell me your plan. It's not going to be Shedeur. His dad's not going to let him come here. That's off the table. If you say Sam Darnold, I'm all about it. Big fucking arm. We don't have to pay a fortune. Hell, we could pay him the same thing that we paid the last guy.
But you do.
Wait to see what happens. Maybe we could get him for cheap. Maybe not. Maybe we pay a fortune. But at the same time, we at least have a guy that we know can make plays down the field. We have a huge fucking receiver over here that's super pissed off. Let's get him going. We got Tracy who's getting going. This could start to work. At the same time, we need things on defense. And that's where it's like, as long as it doesn't get too fucking pricey, because if it does, then you're just kind of looking at the whole Kirk Cousins thing again, where you're like, we pay this guy so much that he has to be able to get us out of every little bit of trouble.
Which is why I think it's got to be rookie quarterback.
But you're kind of limited there too. There's only him and Cam Ward, and it's
at this point they have the first overall pick, don't they?
That's what I wanted to know.
Here, let's pull up tankathon.com here to see what the latest. It's a great website, by the way. They have it's for all the sports. They got NBA, NHL. They added WNBA. So NFL right now with tiebreakers, the Vegas would have the number 1 pick, and the Giants would have the number 2 pick.
See.
Okay, so
that's why he was concerning.
Shedeur's going 1 to the Raiders, and so you say, okay, is Cam Ward the guy? I don't know of any other quarterback that I think is worth drafting in the top 5 besides
number
maybe
2.
Those 2.
Well, you would also have a 2nd-round pick, right? So
yeah,
you could,
but
if you thought
don't go get your guy in the 2nd round.
We're not like, all right, this 2nd round, boys. It's our franchise.
How many 2nd-round quarterbacks have been the guy? Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that question, but like I don't know of many. Like Kellen wasn't Kellen Mond a 2nd-round quarterback?
3rd round.
Oh yeah, that's even worse.
I gotta be honest. I feel like most Kaepernick. 2nd rounds are fucking messed up because it's like those are the guys that you're like, oh, they're for sure going to be a backup, and then they never last. Like you're like, oh, that's
or they just never play.
Yeah,
because then they don't. By the time their career fizzles out, they never got any tape.
Well, it's also a wasteland because like if there's not that many quarterbacks drafted in the 2nd round because if they're close enough. Teams are just going to like stumble over each other to get him in the 1st round, or you just wait it out then. And I mean,
it was the last quarterback was Bo Nix, and then Spencer Rattler went in the 5th.
Yeah,
right. Like that was the next time. So I don't know, man. The Giants have a lot of needs, a lot of things they got to get figured out. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased because I love Brian Daboll. I played for the guy, and I think he's a great coach. I mean, being just in the rooms with him over and over again. But I don't know. I mean, they might have to go full scorched earth and start over.
I'm not saying you got to go full scorched earth. I love Daboll.
I'm not either.
I love his attitude. I love the way he approaches the game. I'm just saying the guy making the decisions, who would be Joe Sheehan then, sit down with me. Let's go over what the fuck just happened to us this last year, and let's talk about what we're going to do going forward. And if he's like, hey, we're going to try and do this, or if he's like, hey, I really like Sam Darnold, and if we can get him at this price point and we can get some guys on defense to help do some coverages, or we can get some more alignment or something else, then it's like, okay, great. But if it's like, we're just going to figure this out as we go, dude, it drives me nuts because when you have players that are kind of coming out and being asked questions like this, you're like, dude, you're setting these players up for failure. And at the same time, it looks like you didn't have a plan all along. You let Saquon walk away. Now all of a sudden we're looking where we're looking and we're going, really? The fucking Eagles are destroying the shit out of people with our player, the guy that we drafted that should be here with us. It's like, you better come up with something really fucking good because now somebody's really pissed. And dude, who fills everything? The fans do. Somebody's clearly upset enough to fucking buy a plane. That's a lot. As an owner, I'm like, that's my business.
By the way, it was all caps, Mr. Mara. Enough. Please fix this dumpster fire.
Enough.
So I've told you guys, my son is like a massive Giants fan. Like somehow he has latched on. Anyone who asks him who's your favorite team, he says immediately the Giants.
Did he bail already?
He's locked in. Right. We had a guy come over. We're installing like those LED lights around the house, and so he was asking like, "Hey, who's your favorite team?" And my son's like, "The Giants." But they're not very good. And I was like, "Oh, buddy!" Like he's like,
"Welcome."
They're not very good, Dad.
No.
Like,
welcome to the not very good cities. I'm from Cleveland. Welcome. We're not very good either.
Yeah. Jay, hit us with one more mic here, and then we'll probably break and do a bunch of other stuff.
Give me a good one. Give me a good one. Where are we going?
You want to talk college football playoff right now?
I was debating going to college football, but I don't know if we have a ton of college football fans.
Don't do that. I don't want to talk college.
You don't want to talk college ball? All right.
No.
Does Caleb Williams last the year without getting hurt?
Oh, there we go. Now I can talk
here.
about this.
Dude, we'll do some Bears. I watched that Bears game, and I'm not going to overreact and say, "Oh, the Niners are back." No, I think the Bears are toast. I think everything has come back down to earth. We talk about it, right? You fire the OC, like everyone kind of rallies for a few games and come back, and everything has come crashing back down to earth. I saw that he's been sacked like the third most all time as a rookie. This poor dude, he's crazy talented. He's got a lot of gifts, but man, he is just getting destroyed physically.
Dude, at one point, the yardage was 320 to 2.
Like 2. Yeah.
2. I saw
a stat that was like, if you got off your couch and walked to the fridge and back, you have more yards than the Chicago Bears.
It's crazy because you're right. You fire the OC. We knew everybody would rally back, right, and be like really tough. And then you fire the head coach who's the DC, and the defense doesn't know how to cover anybody. And all of a sudden, Kittle's running for like 400 yards, and you're like, well, this just became fucked in a way that nobody could imagine. They looked so bad. Like at some point, I think everyone's going to start turning on each other, and it's going to get epic over there. Like real
this is
epic.
where, and you guys have been behind the scenes, but like I feel like when you fire one person, so maybe and this happens like Buffalo fired their offensive coordinator last year, or the Steelers fire what's his name, right?
Canada.
When you Matt Canada. So sometimes if you extract a problem, you get that spike for a month.
The next game they had like 400 yards. Yeah, everyone's like, see, it's there. It's there.
But the problem is when you then fire like another really important, by important I mean there's a fuck ton of work during the week that has to get done. Now it's like the Bears just are super short-staffed at their company.
You're going to take over his job now. And Brian's like, wait, I had to do cards. He's like, yeah, now you're doing everything else, dumbass.
Get the equipment guy. He can draw cards.
There's just like a lot of work that doesn't.
You get a new role. And you get a new role. Dude, they got the tight ends coaching the defensive team. I mean, it's so bad. I felt bad at one point watching him run around. I think at one point he broke out of a tackle, right? He's running completely clear, and he slid completely early and got up like, oh, I meant to do that. And it was like, you guys are really in a bad fucking place.
Dude, he needed to take 2 more steps for a first down, and he just fell down. You're like, Caleb, what What are we doing, dude?
Got up laughing. It was really crying. Oh God. Yeah, dude, it's bad over there. And I think the problem is becoming the worse it's getting, and this is where I'm going to go with this. If I'm the next coach, I'm worried now about how bad this damage is. Is this kid going to get damaged from all these hits? I mean, he's taking an absurd amount of fucking hits, and it's like, hey, at some point, we as O-linemen know that this is really bad for the brain. Not like CTE, like this is bad for going forward. You're like, confidence. Hey, it's okay, bud. And he's like, it's not okay. If I go back here for more than 1.5 seconds, I'm going to get the fucking teeth kicked in. And it's like, oh boy, we're going to have to really work with you.
Like if you're someone who, if you're Ben Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, or whoever else, would you pause? I would still say, listen, this dude's super talented. Just give me a shot to work with him.
There's 4 games left.
56 sacks. And in terms of rushing attempts, and some of these he runs out of bounds, but he's also run the ball 63 times and has taken hits on probably half of those. I don't know. So that is a lot. It's a lot.
And they're not easy hits. Look at the hits on the Lions, remember? And then you have Amon-Ra after the game going, yeah, Dan Campbell told us if he gets anywhere near the fucking sideline, drill him. And it's like, dude, I don't know if you were supposed to say that, but okay. All right. But remember the hit that Jack Campbell gave him? Like fucking laid into his ribs. And I'm sitting there like, oh, man, he can't take many more of these before it's going to become a real problem in his mind.
You can rattle young quarterbacks.
Fucking right you
can. Ruin
can.
Their career. You can ruin rookie. I mean, look at Andrew Luck. He was one of the best, but the dude got killed over and eventually just had to walk away from the game. This dude's not built like Andrew Luck, dude. Andrew Luck was built like a Andrew Luck was tough as fuck. Right.
He was big.
Caleb's big, but he's not. Right, he's not. I mean, he's the GM he's like
Stanford,
the GM
right?
of Stanford now, which is wild.
Fucking
but you know, you go.
Some NIL money now.
Thanks, Andrew.
I worry about his health. I worry about his health. I worry about the health of the team. I worry about. I mean, it is one of those things where if you're evaluating, do I want to take over this building? You're calling DJ Moore. You're calling Montez Sweat, right? You're calling some key guys and being like, talk to me about what happened last year. Like, is this salvageable? Is this fixable? Right? It's starting to get to the point where DJ Moore's body language is so bad. So bad. I mean, Keenan Allen's doing his best as a veteran guy, but you can kind of tell Keenan's like, I'm too old for this, right? Like, I've been around the block too much for this, and they just have no identity on offense, and now they don't have one on defense anymore. I mean, that Niners team is struggling. They're not what they went in there and just shellacked them. Just up and down, could do no wrong. It's not good in Chicago, friends.
I'm going to do it because you said it first. How fucking pissed do you think Keenan Allen is that he's not in fucking LA right now? Think about what a difference he would have been for them had they fucking had him. They would have won that Chiefs game because sometimes they stall out
both Chiefs games
because they don't have anyone to fucking throw it to, and he's taking hits. But now I'm looking at this going, man, you guys really pulled a lot of people into this mess, and you fired a lot of people so far. You've let fucking Cliff Kingsbury go to Washington, and now you're going to have to rebring him back and be like, we fucked up. And at the same time, you fired your head coach. Your quarterback's taking a ton of hits. Like, dude, the team morale right now has to be fucking shit. And you're asking a new coach to come in and be like, give us another spark. And it's like, I would really be like, I want to talk, fuck talking to all those dudes. I want to talk to Caleb. You and me, we're going to dinner. We're getting in the back room. We're going to have a conversation. You're going to tell me straight up where the fuck your head's at. Because if you tell me anything scary, I'm out. Because, dude, once again, you're going to be tied to him forever. It's you and him now. And if you don't like what you hear, you better be like, hey, bud, there's 6 other teams looking for a coach. You might have a ton of talent around you, but everything is going to stop with you. And whether we're good or not is going to rely on you. You took 200 fucking sacks last year. I'm worried about you. Like, it's a normal thing.
The other factor for whoever takes that job, the other 3 teams in the NFC North
are on a rocket ship.
Going anywhere.
2
or 3 years.
No. And you're going
to
but you would think that most coaches, because I would look at that, other than the Caleb Williams thing, which as an offensive lineman will always bother me, I would look at that and be like, I'm all in. I'm all in because these motherfuckers are going to keep you competitive. They're going to keep you on the edge of your seat. You're not in a division that it's like, oh, God, we're just all fucking getting laughed at. It's like, dude, if you don't put out your best foot every single week, shit is going wrong. Dude, that's the most fun. When you're in these competitive divisions and everyone's clawing at each other, like even the NFC West right now, they all kind of suck, but they're all clawing at each other to try and take each other down. And you know the guy who commits the most errors is going to fuck it up. So you're the guys that are in there like every day committed, trying to be the best you can be. You're rolling with the fourth string running back and you're like, we got to make this fucking work. Like, it's fun, dude. It becomes really fun. It sucks when you're like, yeah, we suck and everyone in our division sucks and this team's really good. Like the Chiefs forever. They're like, hey, we're just kicking all these motherfuckers around. Now they're like, shit.
I'll give you a hot take here. If the Browns get squirrely and fire Kevin Stefanski, which could happen. That franchise
they should not do that. Don't do that.
But
the Bears should hire Kevin Stefanski if that happens.
He talk about someone that can just stabilize the ship, right? I mean, he's got PTSD coming from Cleveland, but he would be one that just be like, I've been through the storms, boys. Like rather clothes. He limps into the team meeting
big
room,
gray beard.
Yeah, they're like, how old are you?
Like Tom Hanks in Castaway on the plane ride back, just like
super thin.
Wilson.
Yeah, it's the scene out of what's the other the Captain movie where they're like after they're like, are you okay? He's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. They're like, just sit down. Just sit down. But I mean, yeah, I think that'd be a slam dunk hire, but man, that's going to be really interesting to see how they play that out because they're too talented to be that bad. They just are. I mean, you look at the other teams with the same record as Chicago, their talent level is so much higher. Yeah. So much higher. I mean, at every position across the board.
Yeah. And poor Logan Thomas, he's definitely not going to be in consideration. He probably walked in that week like, boys, if we stay anywhere near close in this game, I'm going to get a job. And all of a sudden, halftime, he was probably like, we're fucked. They're going to fire me before we get on this plane.
Yeah, they might not let me back in the building. My code oh, shit.
It's a Panther situation. They already fired me. I'm just here because I need the food.
Oh, man. Hey, one more quick mic, and then we'll do dumb football questions for part 2. The Fox NFL studio show is my mic. Like Terry and Howie, Jimmy.
Why are you getting on those old guys like that? Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Can we just gracefully stop with those guys? You guys ever watch like halftime and all of a sudden Terry Bradshaw's reading he's like attempting to read the highlights. He's mispronouncing names. I think I'm ready for some fresh blood for the Fox NFL.
They tried to bring Gronk in.
Yeah.
He's not like, you can't give Gronk like an hour,
No. 5 minutes max, and he's good. Yeah. I agree. I think new blood is needed. I think ESPN was quick to be like, listen, we got to keep this thing fresh. We got to keep guys out here that are funny. They went out and got Kelsey. Mm-hmm. I think who I really like to, and I don't mind listening to, is the Thursday night show. I don't mind those guys because number one, I respect all those guys. They all fucking played a long time. They are all badass dudes, and they say funny shit and shit that's off the cuff. They're not afraid to be over here because like. Sometimes the old guys, they're like, they want to be real proper, and you're like, dude, I'm sick of this.
Sometimes I feel like Tony Gonzalez is a robot programmed by like a marketing agency, but then the other guys are all kind of rough around.
Fitzpatrick goes nuts, and you're like, he just keeps everybody in check. Like he'll just say the wildest shit, and people are like, yeah, totally. And you're like, dude, this is great. I love this. Yeah, I agree. Get rid of the old guys.
So we'll fix them. We'll throw some names out maybe later in the off season. All right, that's part 1. Of the weekly recap here. I got an Eagles question for you and dumb football questions. They won the game, but there's some drama building over.
Easy.
And then Bill Belichick looks like he might be about to take another.
Did you see that?
Pause it. I can't wait to talk about that.
I cannot.
I can't wait.
My son gets my job after me. God, see, dude, there's some families that can just do whatever the fuck they want. People are like, sign here.
So click that subscribe button and the like button, and we'll see you for Dumb Football Questions, part 2 of the week 14.